Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, October 3rd. So we have the moon in Capricorn energy all day here today. And of course, we are down to earth. We are trying to think logical and practical. We are tapping into our common sense, and we're really focused on what it is that we actually have control over as far as our to-do list goes in the present moment, realizing that the small changes that we're able to make in the here and now will align and help us with the bigger picture. Of course, we're very ambitious. We're trying to visualize the greater, grander picture in order for us to really set out some achievable goals. And of course, when you take the big picture and you break it down into small, manageable pieces, we actually see success and productivity in moving forward. So one thing I should have mentioned in the ascension forecast for this week is how strange it is that out of all the days this week, there's only one day that there is no void in the day. Now, what I mean by that is normally when we have the moon in a sign, it will go void, of course, as it transitions into the next sign. Most of the time, as the moon does spend 2.5 days in a particular sign, we get 1 or 2 days where there is no void energy. But I'm looking at the week here, and this is probably a pattern that I should have picked up on and mentioned in the ascension forecast for this week. Friday is the only day that we actually have no voids. And the moon will be in Pisces at that time, which I think is pretty significant for us to have that time to kind of move into La La Land and do a little bit of visualizing, a little bit of fantasizing about our dream, about our vision, about our goal. But we had the moon go void every evening. And this is leaving us with a very weird pattern of the moon going void early evening and then not locking into the next sign, the next energy until the wee hours of the next morning. Now, one would say, okay, well, what can we pick up from this? Well, we're probably going to have a pretty wild sleep experience here this week. We are probably going to be anxious and restless and maybe not be able to fall into that deep sleep. And then as the moon transitions into other signs, maybe we're not able to actually wake up and shake that sleepiness off in the morning. I just find it super interesting, some of the patterns that emerge when we, map out what the energy is going to be for the week. And I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that I didn't see this pattern and wasn't able to report this pattern in the ascension forecast for this week. So pay attention to how it is that you're feeling. I'm going to say early evenings and what kind of changes you're experiencing in your sleep state and in the context of your dreams, if you're lucky enough to actually move into the dream realm and have those experiences. We are seeing a shift in timelines and in the other dimensional fields as well, which means that our astral realm is kind of whack right now. It's kind of weird. And I'm just kind of interested in how everybody is experiencing the changes in their dream state. What kind of messages are coming in? What kind of realms are you bouncing around to? I think this week will be a very interesting experiment, if you will. Just taking a look at when the moon goes void and all of the nights that we are going to spend this week with the moon not being stabilized in one energy over the other. So that's a super interesting thing that I think we should all pay attention to this week. So that brings me back to my point here is that the moon will be going void, of course, in this Capricorn energy at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here this evening. And we will be moving into Aquarian energy early Tuesday morning. So anytime that we are moving out of the Capricorn energy into the Aquarian energy, it's always a welcome vibe. Of course, we're very down to earth in this Capricorn energy. We're very, stuck in our present moment, the tasks, the chores, the roles, responsibilities. We're focused on what it is that we can be doing in order to take control over our lives in the here and now. And of course, constantly push ourselves to align with the vision, the goals that we are now kind of formulating, that we have a desire to pursue. And We also recognize where it is that we feel kind of heavy and weighted and blocked and restricted in life in this Capricorn energy. And the transition into Aquarian energy kind of frees us from that. We're able to kind of get new ideas, new inspirations on what it is that we need to do to kind of break free from some of the restrictions that we would have identified while the moon is in Capricorn energy. And of course, the vibe is much lighter when we move into Aquarian energy because, of course, it is an air energy versus the earth energy that we're in this Capricorn arena. And so we will be feeling that shift. The Aquarian energy is very visionary. We tend to kind of see our future pieced together in a bigger way. And sometimes we only get a short window of opportunity in order to see things clearly. And because Mercury is now direct, but still very much opposing Neptune, adding that, vagueness, that fogginess, that I'm going to say non-clarity on our path and our dreams and our visions, the Aquarian days here with the moon in Aquarius energy should provide us at least a small window of opportunity to make sense out of a couple things, to see a vision, to see a path, to see a couple of those puzzle pieces snap in. But we are definitely not there yet. I shouldn't have jumped the gun so easily and so quickly because we still have a whole day of the moon being in Capricorn energy, really grounding us out, really making us very aware of the present moment, what we have to wrap up, what we have to clean up, and what it is that we need to prepare for as we set our sights on new visions and new goals. So there are 9 different aspects here today, and 9 of them involve the moon. Now, what I will say coming into the day is that we are in Libra season. And of course, as you may know, Libra season is about achieving balance and finding stability and making peace with some of the situations that we're having a hard time coming to terms with. It's about finding harmony in all aspects of our lives. And of course, as we've been discussing, we usually find that peace and balance and harmony through exploring the extremes and really having to work our way very carefully into finding a middle ground, into finding a balance point. So what I'm kind of gathering from the energy here today is that what we're trying to find balance with is using our experiences, our knowledge, our wisdom from a past situation, like the experiences and knowledges and wisdoms that we've accumulated through our experience, very much traditional, right? Which Capricorn energy is, versus where it is that we can kind of reinvent our methods of doing things, our ways of thinking, constantly pushing the boundaries of progress, basically. And so it's almost like we are trying to innovate and do things in a new way using the same kind of foundation that traditionally speaking has worked for us in the past. So we're bringing forth what is old, tried, tested, and true, but we're kind of adding a little bit of spice, a little bit of a sparkle to it and trying to kind of reinvent things in a brand new way. That is the overall vibe here. Now, whether we're going to achieve this balance or not, that remains to be seen. But I feel like that is the main goal for what today's energy and life lesson should be. So we do have the moon in Capricorn trining, which is a beautiful energy, with the true node, who of course is in Taurus energy. This is why we get the trine, Capricorn energy, Taurus energy, both earth signs. We're working together. We're blending things together here. What are we blending? Well, we are blending our goals, our ambitions with a plan, with a strategy on what it is that we actually have to do to move forward. A lot of this is just simply thinking. Again, we're not really in a time of action, and we actually have to spend just as much time addressing the to-do list to clean up unfinished elements, projects, situations that need those loose ends to be tied up before we can actually start gaining momentum on initiating new things. Keep in mind, Mercury just went direct. We have, about a week and a half of really kind of cleaning up the issues of the past before we have a clean slate, before we enter into new territory to bring new ideas to life. So the moon and the true node right now, and again, the true node is our soul's path, our destiny's point, trying to get us on the right path to move forward. We're working together here. We're recognizing where it is that we got to break things down into manageable pieces and tackle the tasks one by one in order to A, clean up the elements of the past that will be preventing us in moving forward, B, take a good look at the clean slate that we are trying to provide ourselves with, and then C, kind of visualize the strategy, the plan that we will want to take as a course of action in order to actually move forward. Now, the moon is going to go ahead and get into the boxing ring and fight it out with Chiron. Chiron, of course, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in Aries energy, kind of illuminating for us where it is that we're on this healing journey, where it is that our ego and our self-identity issues are kind of coming up for us, maybe some doubts, some insecurities, some fears, just because we contemplated moving forward. And of course, the minute that we take one step forward, those dark force energies within us chime in order to paralyze us, to make sure that we are not moving forward, that we're not progressing at all. So, we just have this element where we're pushing ourselves forward, where we're making some progress, and then we are kind of having this negative narrative kick in and speak fear into our plans and just kind of raise the questions, raise the doubts, if you will, if we have what it takes to actually push forward, if we are feeling energized enough to push our motives and our intentions forward. And what we will find is that we start kind of, letting negative Nancy rule the roost here, and we start kind of speaking down and speaking ill on our capabilities, on our intentions, on our dreams to actually move forward. It's not going to last that long, though. We have the moon trining, which is another good energy, with Uranus, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. Again, Capricorn energy, Taurus energy, both earth energies. They're trining together. They're working together. What are we working towards? Well, Uranus is the great awakener. And Uranus is very progressive, very innovative, wants to kind of download us with an aha moment, wants to inspire us to open up our minds, to maybe adopt new ways of doing things, open up our minds to new perspectives, understandings, and Uranus by himself, being retrograde in Taurus energy, is doing an inner exploration within us to show us where it is that we're kind of being blocked by our fears, by our attachments, by doing the same old, same old. So, for the topic and the theme of the day of using what is old, tried, tested, and true, but adding a little bit of pizzazz here to it to make it a little bit better and refine it a little bit more and just be a little bit more progressive with it all, this is definitely the vibe that we are getting from this particular interaction, because it's like, okay, Uranus is like, okay, great. You're taking some steps forward. You are, actively using systems and foundations and methods that have worked for you in the past. That's great. But where can we open our minds up? Where can we push the boundaries? Where can you at least try something new? And I'll give you an example. Many of us clean our house in the same pattern, in the same way, in the same direction. Have you ever tried vacuuming your house in the opposite way? I'm going to tell you, you should try it sometime and just see what happens. So, most of us take the vacuum out and we start at a particular room in our house and we work our way through the method, through the pattern, through the, cycle that works best for us. I challenge you to bring the vacuum out and to start at the opposite end that you usually end at and end at the area in which you usually begin at. You will feel so foreign in your body. You will feel so just like a rebel without a cause, as something as simple as just changing the methodology in the way that you vacuum. Okay. So these are real life applications, real life situations that we can just, add a little bit of pizzazz to and flip the script about and just, change the vibration about and break the mold, override that program. So the moon is going to go ahead and bump into Saturn. Saturn rules over Capricorn energy. So it's always interesting when the moon bumps into the ruler of the moon's energy at that particular time. And Saturn is retrograde in Aquarian energy. And this whole life lesson is an inner exploration and an inner discovery, reflecting back on all the times that we did what we thought other people wanted us to do, or we did what we thought other people expected us to do. And of course, that meant that we, sidelined our own wants, needs, and desires, our own mission, our own purpose, because we were essentially putting other people's thoughts and opinions and wants, needs, and desires before our own. And, this is a good reflection just to ask you, how does that work out for you? The answer should be it didn't work out so well because, of course, we gave other people our power, our intention, our focus, our energy, our love, our everything, and probably didn't work out so well. So, this whole life lesson is going to be kind of coming full circle, especially in October, seeing as all of these planets that are currently retrograde are going to be making their way into a direct position one by one. If you haven't listened to October's energy forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so. If you haven't downloaded your zodiac forecast, I recommend that you jump over to my website and you listen to your rising sign and you listen to your sun sign. And if you would like the greatest deal that you could get on all those forecasts, become a Patreon member. For $11, you get access to all 12 forecasts and you get bonus content like the moon moods and energy updates and remedies for ascension symptoms, all that lovely stuff. Anyways, shameless plug there, but there's a lot of information for us to get ahead of the game in October because it is going to be quite an intense month, quite a transformative month. And with the moon kind of interacting with Saturn, this way we would kind of take a good look at where our roles and responsibilities are. This is a reevaluation on what it is that we feel like we've outgrown, what it is that we feel in alignment about, and basically what it is that we have to get like real life, common sense, practical about. And I mean that in a sense that we need new routines. We need new, systems in our lives. We need to build new foundations in our lives to, yes, take care of the nitty-gritty roles and responsibilities in our life. But we also need to analyze where it is that we've outgrown some of these things, where it is that we should be mixing things up. Again, take the vacuuming analogy right to heart here and just see where maybe we should take a good look at where it is that we've done things a certain way for so long that, and whether they're working for us or not, doesn't matter, but we definitely want to address the things that aren't working for us and just see where maybe we could boss up and we could make a change and we could align with a new way of doing things, a new way of still getting the job done, but in a way that doesn't feel so soul-sucking, so exhausting, so weighted, so heavy. A lot of our roles and responsibilities and commitments right now are feeling as heavy as they do on our shoulders and on our heart space because they're sucking the life out of us. We don't feel aligned with them anymore. And it is very recommendable to take a good look at the tasks and chores, the roles and responsibilities that you just dread, that you just hate doing, and just see where it is that you can either spice them up or let go of them altogether. The moon is going to be bumping into Jupiter in a very positive way. Jupiter, of course, is about growth and expansion and beliefs and blessings and abundance. And Jupiter is currently retrograde in Aries energy. We will be seeing a shift with Jupiter towards the end of October. Again, download the forecast. But we're still going to be retrograde. We're just creeping back into Piscean energy. But right now, we are still very much retrograde in this Aries energy, showing us where it is that we've really run into some very tough love life lessons since the spring, where it is that we had to kind of tackle them head on, where it is that we tried to push through and persevere, and how that kind of worked out for us. A lot of this has to do with many of us going through a reinvention of self, a rebranding, if you will. And the moon interacting with Jupiter in this way is a positive aspect that will illuminate for us where it is that we want better situations for ourselves, newer elements to arrive in our life, where it is that we want more out of life. We want more stability. We want more structure. We want more love and connection. We want more abundance. We want more stability in our finances. We want more opportunities. Jupiter is a magnifying glass and turns the volume all the way up on what it is that we want more of. And the moon in Capricorn energy is at least grounded enough that we're not going to get carried away with it. We're actually going to be logical and practical in aligning with some of the dreams and some of the visions, some of the goals that are actually obtainable instead of just, these big outlandish dreams. I will give you this as an example. Many people, especially people who are financially struggling and just, barely surviving on the bare minimum, their dream will be to win the lottery and become a millionaire. Now, that's a pretty big dream. That's a pretty outlandish dream with not such great odds, not such great statistics. And an example of, kind of creating a big dream that would be more realistic is to align with a job with a career that you love, that brings you a lot of joy and passion, that is equally as abundant in offering the financial stability, the perks, the, health and dental, the whatever the case may be, that is a much more realistic dream, there's better odds, right? But to sit around in a state of poverty, just waiting to win the lottery, is kind of silly. And that's a good example of where Jupiter can push us into those big dreams that just aren't tangible. And of course, are going to set us up for some disappointment, because not very many of us will ever have the chance of winning the lottery and getting that kind of financial freedom. So it's better to dream in the realm of possibility and actually be able to take steps to achieve that dream, because that is something that we can work towards. Whereas all you can do with the lottery situation is to buy a ticket and hope for the best. So that's my little analogy, my little example of where Jupiter can sometimes push us into dreaming too big of a dream that is unrealistic, and of course just sets us up for disappointment. But the moon interacting with Jupiter in this way is at least providing us with tangible, practical visions and dreams and goals that we can get excited about. And that excitement is what is needed in order to emotionally charge the vision that we are holding in our mind space. And as you may or may not know, those are the first two keys in actually manifesting. So we're off to a good start from a practical standpoint. Because again, Capricorn energy kind of grounds us out and roots us into this present moment on what is logical, what is practical, what is actually doable. And Jupiter provides us with that magnifying glass on the optimistic possibilities of the future. So the moon is going to bump into Mars in a way that would suggest that we encounter a little bit of a blip in the run of our day that positions us in a little bit of an angry situation or an irritable situation, a frustrated situation. We have to keep in mind that Mars, who is going to go retrograde at the end of the month, again, download your forecast, is currently in Gemini energy. So we are kind of a little bit all up in the mental plane here, the intellectual battlefield, if you will. We are debating the pros and cons of new plans, of tasks, of chores, of roles, of responsibilities. And what I will say is that Mars, being the god of war, usually comes with a little bit of spice, a little bit of fire. What we have to realize is that when we experience anger and frustration, irritability, it's because a change is needed. We're not in alignment with particular situations, topics, and themes that are creating this disconnect, this discombobulation within us. What we want to do is take those not so nice thoughts and feelings and flip them in a way that would inspire us and motivate us and set us up for a warrior-like determination in order to push through them, make them into elements that can work for us in the here and now as we plan and strategize to break away from them and set ourselves on a new path of passion and desire of what it is that we actually want to be pouring our time, energy, and attention into. So this particular situation is likely going to pop off in our exterior realm that just brings to light these freaking roles and responsibilities that we're just unhappy about. It just sucks the life out of us. It just derails us and prevents us from actually using our time in a way that fulfills us instead of just wasting it on, these commitments and obligations that of course need to be met, but, just aren't doing a whole lot for our spirit and for our soul. The moon is going to sextile Neptune. This is a beautiful energy. Neptune really helps to move us into imaginary land, helps us to tap into the higher realms of creativity, to conjure up a dream, to really fantasize about what it is that our heart and soul is inspired to create, to manifest in our realm. And again, with the moon in Capricorn, we are doing this dream work from a grounded, practical, logical standpoint, which means that there is a lot. May I just remind you, Capricorn energy is the manifesting energy that we all want to tap into. It is like the general foreman of the zodiac. comes great responsibility, but it's an earth sign, which means that karmically speaking, if it makes sense to our logical mind and it feels good to our heart space, to our soul, there is no stopping what it is that we can manifest when we channel the higher realms of intelligence in our dreamland and our inspirations and our, little glimpses and visions of our future into the physical body that, of course, Capricorn is very grounded in. And we bring things to life. We start taking control of the small things in our day to day and really start tackling what we can do in the here and now that would actually align us to accomplishing some of the tasks, some of the chores that are needing to be accomplished in order to bring our dream and our vision to life. So this is a beautiful energy. I feel like we're going to make a lot of progress here, really kind of redefining and realigning with what it is that our hopes, our dreams, our wishes, our goals actually are, so that we can get down to the nitty gritty and actually take action in the here and now to start aligning with that particular vision and dream. The moon is going to trine, which is a beautiful energy, with Mercury, who is direct now in Virgo energy. So again, Capricorn energy, Virgo energy, they're both earth energies. That's why we're getting down with each other. That's why we're harmonizing. That's why we have the trine. So what do we got here? Well, the moon is our heart space. Mercury is our head space. And they're getting along. They're blending together. We're making some progress here. We're getting back on the same page. There is an emotional, I'm going to say, alignment with some of the ideas that are now kind of becoming a little bit more clear that Mercury is now direct. And Mercury is in his place of power in this Virgo energy. So we are problem solving. That's what Virgo energy does. It fixes the problems. It heals the wounds. It provides solutions to some of the things that we've been struggling with. It is basically returning us to a state of stability and wholeness. And I know that we're very early on in Mercury going direct, but like I said, there are these little tiny windows that we are going to get over the next week and a half until Mercury is feeling his 100% self again, where we are going to really be in alignment with what's going on inside of us, with what it is that we have our energy focused on. And right now, between the moon and Mercury, not only are we thinking a little bit clearly and able to kind of get our heart and head in agreement, but we're able to articulate what it is that's going on inside of us. And if the opportunity presents itself in your physical realm to have these types of conversations with the people that should be included in them, but by all means, go ahead and open up that conversation. We're in Libra season. We are looking to, reconcile, to compromise, to negotiate, to kind of bring our relationships back on the same page and establish, fairness and equal power in our relationships. And a lot of that has to start with having conversations, getting on the same page. Lastly, we have the moon coming up to, bumping into, sitting next to Pluto. Pluto, who is retrograde, stationed direct though, because we are preparing for Pluto to go direct on the 8th, on Saturday. Again, download the forecast. The moon kind of coming up to Pluto does kind of suggest that they are working together to recognize what it is that we are going to do to boss up, to take control over our lives, to stand in our power, to be empowered, realizing the changes and transformations that have not only taken place within us, not only kind of, sparked a new passion, a new desire, a new goal, a new dream, a new ambition within us, but really getting down to the foundational imprint, if you will, of where it is that we need to start. And most of that starts in our psyche and in our heart space. That's what Pluto's retrograde is trying to show us, where it is that we kind of have to boss up and rewrite the program within us before we're able to actually engage the physical body and start, manipulating some of the circumstances in our physical realm to align with some of the realizations that we've already come to in our inner realm. So after Saturday, we will definitely see a huge force of energy pushing us to get, hands-on with rearranging some of the elements in our lives in order to align with the transformation that we've all been going through within our inner realm. So the moon conjunct sitting next to Pluto here is definitely a boss up attitude, an empowerment attitude, a transformational attitude where we are literally feeling the authority that we need to be kind of embodying and standing in within our own lives to be accountable and responsible for the path that we are about to initiate, that we are about to walk in order to actually feel like we are in control of our own destiny.